How's it going, my friends? Thankfully, this guy lucked into getting a beta invite from Ubisoft to play some For Honor this weekend, a game that is easily the most anticipated, for me, of 2017. But even though I was in the alpha of this game, you best believe I took the beta just as serious. I want this game to succeed. This is the type of game that I have dreamed of, a skill-based medieval combat game. And since I was in both the alpha and the beta, I've seen a little bit of the changes that they've made and some progression, I guess you could say. So I just wanted to make a video posting this average gamer's 2 cents. Even though it's not worth a whole lot when you compare it to millions of people, I'm still gonna throw it out there. But before we really get started, I want to post up my stats here that you can look at so you can see the win percentage, kill death ratio, and the time played that I had on Thursday. That way you kind of know where I'm sitting at amongst the players and just have a better idea of where I'm really coming from. So when looking at all this, take into consideration, I didn't just focus on one player or hero like I could tell a lot of other people did when I would go up against a level 18 with a level 1 character because I needed to test them all. Each character I played for 40 minutes, and then the other hour that's just kind of sitting out of the way was due to downtime and me just overall exploring some mechanics and the customization, the war front, which we're going to get into, and some other things like that. But with all that being said, let's start with balance first. To me, when it comes to a skill-based competitive game, this is the most balanced game that I have ever played. And I've been gaming for more than 2 decades. But before you click off the video, just because you think I'm absolutely insane, because you believe there's no way an Ubisoft game could ever remotely be good, hear me out, please. The reason I'm saying this is because I played every character and I won with every character. Not because of my superior reaction time by any means. I'm starting to get a little older. My reaction time's going downhill. But it was because I was willing to sit there and depict my enemy, his combat habits, and just know the character that he was playing and how to counter them. I know in the alpha it was the Orochi that was absolutely OP and everyone freaked out, and I was trying to defend it, saying like, no, it's not. You just have to know how to play the game. And that still holds true to what I'm saying today, because no one's talking about the Orochi no more, because that's not what they're losing to. What they are losing to is the Nobushi, the polearm samurai. And no, it's not OP. You just have to know how to beat it. That character is a keep your distance type of character. If you sit back just trying to pick away at it, you're gonna lose, because that is that character's specialty. You have to get in that thing's face and just constant terror on it, man. You can't just keep your distance because you're in its element. You have to play a character that works with how you like to play. If you like to keep your distance and just poke around at people all the time, then you need to play the Nobushi, because that's the type of character that it is. Me, I play the Conqueror. My strategy is to get in your face and pound you as hard as possible, back away, and I have a strong defense, so when you attack, I can block it almost every time. That is my strategy. Each character has their own strategy, so this game is more about just knowing how to play. When you do 1 vs 1 duels and 2 vs 2 brawls, there's no stats involved. It is purely skill-based. Some hit harder than other characters, but the characters that hit harder can't take damage for crap. If you get in on the Nobushi, you're gonna wreck it. You'll kill it in 3 or 4 hits. So my suggestion for the new players coming in is just to find the way you like to play and find the character that supports that type of gameplay. And you will notice that your win percentage goes up. I guarantee it. But also another thing I do want to throw out there for those that are still probably going to call me crazy for saying the game's balanced and even was in the alpha, there's actually proof to back up what I'm saying. A couple months ago, Ubisoft did post an article, I believe it was on Twitter, it might have been on Facebook too, and I could probably find that, to be honest. But they posted an article showing all the statistics from the alpha that they calculated. And it was win percentages from each class, man, and how, like, whenever they went up against each other, the win percentages. And it was a 48 to 52 split. And I don't know about you guys, but that's about as balanced as I can ever expect. It also showed how many people played which hero. Of course, the Orochi was way up in first place. Last place was my guy, the Conqueror. I'll tell you what, if I can end up finding that article, I will put it in the description below. So if you are interested in looking at that, check in the description. Hopefully I can find it and I'll be able to put it in there for you. Next topic, I was hoping to be story, but unfortunately there was no story missions at all available. It was just another multiplayer beta. But what I have seen is quite a few people on the forums complain about the difficulty of the starting AI that you have to beat to actually unlock the multiplayer. They're saying that it's too difficult and it needs to be toned down. For those saying that, I do want to say, be careful what you wish for, because if you cannot beat that AI, you're going to go into multiplayer and get absolutely wrecked. And you're going to get frustrated and you're not going to want to play no more. Because you'll go in and run into players like me that was able to beat that AI, flawless victory, never even touched me. And I just don't want to see players quit. Like I said, I want this game to succeed. So, I mean, for every new player coming in, I would recommend playing against AI first. Learn the mechanics first. Find the character that you want to play first. And then start venturing out into multiplayer once you learn the combos and how combat generally works. This game, its learning curve, it's not just uphill, like it's flat out vertical. There's a lot to it. We haven't seen a game like this in a long time. But enough about that. I will go into a lot more detail of everything with this game when it comes to my review. But this is just beta, and you probably don't have a lot of time. So we're just going to go move on, and I will come back to that for another video. But the next thing I want to go into is the stats when it comes to gear. I was very excited to see that Ubisoft made stats completely irrelevant when it comes to 1 vs 1 duels and 2 vs 2 brawls, because to me that is the most skill-based part of this game that I like the most. And I can actually see this becoming an esport. I hope it does, because like I said, there has not been a skill-based game like this in years, maybe a decade. I don't know. I can't even remember the last time a skill-based game like this has came out. But I still do like Dominion, which is the 4 vs 4, so don't get me wrong. I wouldn't say it's harder, but it takes a completely different kind of strategy to play in that. Because like I said, gear doesn't matter in the other two, but in Dominion it does. How much? I have no idea. That is something I would actually like Ubisoft to post up, because I don't know how much of a difference that gear can make. The gear gives you perks like reducing the time it takes for you to have a revenge, or reducing the attack damage of revenge while increasing the perk of another. Like they kind of balance each other by making one stat better and one stat worse. And to be completely honest, I was fighting people with gear levels of 15 to 18 and me having 0, and I couldn't tell much of a difference at all. But then you also in Dominion have to worry about feats of the character, which are little perks that you can unlock the longer the game goes on and the more experience that your character acquires. But with all that being said, I would still like this game to stay purely skill-based, just like it is in the 1 vs 1 duel, 2 vs 2 brawls. Might as well make 4 vs 4 have no gear stats at all as well. I don't believe the game needs it. It's not my choice, but I'm going to share my opinion. I don't believe the game needs these stats. It's fun enough without them. Just make every item that we can acquire purely cosmetic, and I think it would be just fine. And one of the things that Ubisoft introduced into the beta that was not in the alpha is what I like to call the Warfront. I don't remember if there is an actual name for it, so I just call it the Warfront. But what it is, of course, at the beginning of the game, you choose who you want to fight for. Knights, Vikings, or Samurai, okay? But don't freak out though, because if you want to fight for the Knights, but then let's say you just decide one day you want to fight as an Orochi Samurai, that is okay. If you choose the Knights, you're not limited to the Knights. You can choose a Samurai and fight for the other, which leads me to probably my biggest concern of this whole thing that they have come up with. Because to be completely honest, this thing is brilliant. This is a freaking awesome idea. The unfortunate thing is, like I said, it's an awesome idea in theory. When you put it actually into practice, I don't believe it's going to work unless there is I guess some kind of counter to an unbalanced player population. Just because if if the population ends up being what I seen in the beta and the alpha, it's going to be in trouble from the very start, because 50% of every game that I went into was a samurai. Not the character itself, but who the people chose to fight for. They chose the samurai, 50%. And then the other 50 was split up between the knights and the Vikings. Now, yes, people can counter that because the knights and the Vikings could all fight the samurai instead of fighting all three, of the factions. You could just choose to focus on one if the population's like that. But there's no real way that I know of as of right now to actively communicate as a whole, as a faction as a whole, and tell everybody, hey, we need to fight samurai because we're completely outnumbered. But the way it works, after every single match that you fight, you get a war asset based on your performance, win-loss, stuff like that. And you get to place your war assets on the map that you're seeing here right now. You can either defend a homeland or attack a foreign land. And after every 6 hours, Ubisoft adjusts each territory based on how many war assets that it has. And if you have more assets in the opposing land and you defend yours successfully that is across from it, your border extends over and you claim their territory, and then have to make your way all the way back until the stronghold of the opposing faction, and then a special event happens. Though what that event is, we don't really know yet. But a very good idea that they had that they introduced into this game mode, because most people play Dominion. I don't believe Duel and Brawl are very popular. I could be wrong, but whether I'm wrong or not is kind of irrelevant. One game mode is going to be played more than the other. So what they did is, like, every 6 hours when they do go to adjust all the territories, they also switch where the game mode is actually located, whether clockwise or counterclockwise. That way, if Dominion is the most populated game mode, in a 18-hour span, it will have circled all across the map. So it's fair when it comes to claiming territories. That was a very good idea. And a really cool way that they kind of tied in this whole war front is, if you lose a territory, it may not necessarily look the same. It may start to have a feel of the faction that actually claimed it. So let's say knights go into a samurai territory and claim part of their homeland. You'll start seeing knight banners hanging on walls in that territory when you actually go into a multiplayer match and fight on that map. But like I said, I do hope there is a mechanic to counter the faction outweighing another. Because, yes, I understand in war, things aren't fair. But this isn't war. This is a video game that people play for fun. And when people think something isn't fun, they tend to stop caring about it and playing it. Not saying they'll quit the game because that mechanic doesn't work, but I'm saying that they will either just not care about that whole mechanic or part of the game at all, or everyone will just join the samurai so it's an easy win and free goodies for everyone. And I feel that that could just take the whole competitive spirit of the game away. Next up is customization. I've said this in the alpha, on my video, and in the forum thread that I made for Ubisoft on their website. And I'm going to say this again for the beta. The customization needs to be more personal. There is a lot of things that you can customize on your characters. A lot of things. You can change a lot of crap. But it doesn't feel personal. This character is supposed to represent you. But when making your crest at the beginning of the game, your family crest or the crest that represents you, you can choose each color, each symbol, and even move the symbol wherever you want on the crest and place it there. You can place it in layers. Do whatever you want. It's personal. You can choose each individual color. On your character, it's not that way at all. You can't adjust the symbols and where you move them. It's just placed wherever that Ubisoft decided to place it on the piece of armor that you put it on. And then the collars. You can't choose individual collars like you could on your family crest. It's all collar templates. Ubisoft pre-chose 3 collars on templates and then said, here you go, here's what you're allowed to have. To me, that takes away from the, like I said, personalization and also the creativity of the player themselves. Why limit the creativity to the dev team? Let the players have some say in how their character looks. I mean, honestly, I thought half of the collar templates that they gave were hideous. Not to be mean, it's just how I honestly felt. They were not very attractive and it did not appeal to me. There was only one combination that even remotely resembled the crest that I chose for my knight. I mean, the reason that I chose the colors that I did is because I did that ancestry search and found out that one of my ancestors from 1100 AD used this crest. This was his crest. And I don't know, I just wanted to use that because it was part of my actual family history. I mean, it makes sense to allow you the tabard that you're using over your armor to match your actual crest. You could even sell certain collars as DLC. I wouldn't care. I would buy them just to support the game. Then lastly, we come to, in my opinion, what is the biggest issue of the whole game. And unfortunately, I do not believe it's going to be changed, but that will not stop me from throwing out my opinion and giving Ubisoft a little crap for it. When you bring out such a competitive game as For Honor, where reaction time is everything, having peer-to-peer servers does not work, because the people with high ping are going to reign over top of everyone else. Because when a game fully relies on reaction time and then you fight someone with high ping, a game that already has little time to react is going to cause you to have even less time when someone has high ping, and it's going to cause people to get frustrated and quit the game. Also, the Dominion mode, when you have 8 people trying to get together, if one has bad internet, that's going to screw up the whole game, especially if they're the host. When someone has low connection, it will completely pause the game, even if you have nothing to do with it. And to me, those kind of interruptions will just get people utterly frustrated and decide to abandon the game altogether. You can even mark my word on it, and if I'm wrong, call me an idiot, that's fine. But I can already see it happening, and I feel like I've seen it in games before. There's ways that you can afford a designated server. Look at games like Smite from Hi-Rez. You can put a bunch of cosmetic items into the game and sell it as DLC. As long as it is cosmetic, DLC is okay. If that helps you pay for dedicated servers, I have no issue with it. I'm not going to pay you a monthly subscription for it, especially a $14 one like freaking MMOs. I'm not doing that. Maybe $1. $1 would probably be the most I would pay, especially when you're still going to sell all kinds of transactions. Now, I will say that the connection issues for me when it came to my alpha experience was completely fine, but this beta was awful. I'm hoping to give them the benefit of the doubt and just kind of, I guess, assume that I was playing against people from way far away from me in other countries, other parts of the world, and that's why I had such a difficult time. I'm just going to go with that, but I don't know. I'm very, very concerned with the server issues. I was playing a warden. I didn't know how he did it. This was really a rare occurrence in this instance, but it really got frustrating, especially in a competitive game like this, man. Because you want to lose if you really should lose, not lose when you really should win because of some bullcrap instance. But this warden at the beginning of the game, no matter what I did, he literally slid across the map. He would start running to give me, and it was a predictable shot. I should have just started parrying it, but I didn't know when he was going to come. He just started sprinting, and then all of a sudden he'd slide across the map and smack me in the face. I even, when I had my Conqueror, I'd wind up, and I would try at different times based on his distance to start the swing, thinking, well, maybe I'm just, not swinging soon enough. So I'd start swinging sooner, and it did not matter. He would literally slide across the freaking map and smack me in the face. And I believe that was because of the peer-to-peer servers. What I was seeing wasn't what was actually happening. And that's a huge issue with a game that is purely competitive. If you're not a competitive person, this game won't be for you. But you can't have that crap happening in a game like this. It will fail. It will cause people to quit. And this is such a gem of a game that I don't want to see this happen. I love this game, but I can't stand the peer-to-peer servers. Now, if I end up just getting to play regional games and I don't have that issue at all, then it's fine, but I don't think that's always going to be the case. But either way, that's my 2 cents. I hope it helped, gave you some idea what the game's all about. They are going to have an open beta the 9th through the 12th from the leak that I seen and read. So hopefully, if you are curious about the game, you'll be able to pick it up that weekend. I personally will not. I am going to a murder mystery dinner, so I'm pretty excited about it. But you best believe once this game drops, it's going to be one of the main games that I play. I will be doing a review on it. I'm actually about to go pick up a game and start a review on it, Digimon. So until next time, you all take care, have a good week, and always remember, game with grace.